The more the world expands, the more you sink inward. The sound of footsteps rushing outward is actually a winding echo that descends to the depths of the heart. The more you tear up the atmosphere and raise your voice, the more your words echo within you. The view reflected in a person's eyes is not the world he sees, but merely a projection of his inner depths. The palm of his hand that feels the wind is not measuring the temperature of the air outside, but checking his own senses. Lips trembling with joy and eyebrows contorted with grief are all external manifestations of what is hidden within. That is why the more unrestrained one is, the more submerged one is, the more rooted one is, the more traveler one is, and the more silent one is, the more one speaks. At the end of the landscape that spreads outward, there is the starting point of oneself. The more one leaves oneself, the more one returns to oneself. Inwardness is the most profound exploration of the outer world, and outwardness is the most subtle descent into the inner world. The gaze is always outward, to the end of the expanding world. It seeks the light, feels the wind, releases the words, and follows the echoes. But while it is like a flower yearning for the sun, its roots sink deep into the earth, and the main current of its consciousness flows inward rather than outward. The more we yearn for what we can see, the more we are swallowed by the depths of what we cannot see. The more we speak to others, the more our own voice becomes distant. The more we move, the heavier something becomes that does not move. It is a harmony of paradoxical movement, as if the wings that are released outward are in fact secretly folded inward. When we seek to know something, we are staring at something on the surface, or we are simply facing the myriad selves behind the mirror. The act of going outward is actually another name for going inward. The words of the one who speaks are released into the world at the moment they are uttered, but they stick most strongly in the mind of the one who uttered them. Or the farther the traveler's feet go, the more they are reminded of home. The more we seek, the further away we go, the more we seek. If this hand reaches out to grasp something, it is not something from the outside world, but an exercise to confirm one's own contours. This is the quiet truth of tends to look outward but is actually introverted. The intersection of extroversion and introversion is a labyrinth in which ambiguity itself resides. The outward gaze is in fact a reflection of a journey in search of the unknown self. A journey that is like the fleeting reflection of stars in a faraway night sky on the surface of the water. The world in which people run is like an ice crystal that melts with each touch. Words that are not spoken, books that are not read, and melodies that are not played actually tell the whole story. Every time one plays with the outside world, one hears a bell echoing in the corners of the inner abyss. To sink is to float, to stay is to move. This dynamism, like a wave, changes constantly and is never established. It may be that the boundary itself, inside and outside, is merely an illusion. We can only quietly wait for the ripples of new perspectives to attract further insights. But one reaches outward. They stroke the edges of the world, trying to make a name for themselves. They throw themselves into the lights of the city and seek its contours in the gaze of others. What their fingertips touch is a screen onto which their own shadows are projected. The feet that move outward may be the price for the heart that sinks inward. Floating in the glittering scene of merriment, it is nothing more than a ritual to dive deep within. And by tracing solitude in the midst of the bustle, they confirm the contours of themselves. It is as if a traveler chasing the stars becomes aware of the darkness of his own eyes in the depths of the night. The heart yearning for the distance is the expression of the will to sink deepest within. He who seeks to know everything about the world eventually arrives at a single, silent question. The moment when extroversion and introversion intersect, it is like the patterns that waves draw on the beach, a phenomenon that is not tangible but eternally shifting. Just as we know our own smallness by looking at the vastness of the sky, we feel the infinity of the world by closing our eyes. Inside and outside are inseparable inverted mirrors. The voice that speaks to us is not only a vibration of air, but also a thread connecting countless silences. The two can never be completely separated, and the essence of a person dwells in this ambiguity. The fingertip that strokes the surface of the mirror reaches outward, but in truth, it is an attempt to sink into a realm that the inner consciousness cannot reach.